Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the video. My name's Brian. Today I want to talk about the dating pool that is available to men. And I decided to do this video because I've seen so many of these videos on YouTube and TikTok of these women talking about they deserve a high value man. And I think we can all agree most of them are delusional, but I don't think the females think that way. So I'm going to try to do, I know this is wrong, but I'm going to try to use logic. Now, up front, let's agree on a couple of things. Men are visual animals. So when you're talking about attracting a male, the female needs to be attractive. Now everybody has a different definition of attractive, but let's say that the average male, and I would say an above average amount of high value men, and when I say high value I'm using your definition, not mine, they want a female that is fit and in shape. So I Googled, what percentage of the female population in the United States is overweight? Take a guess. A little over 70%. And the interesting thing about that number is of that 70%, the majority are considered obese, not just overweight. So, ladies, that means that the high value man that's looking for a fit female has, say, 30% of the population to choose from. Now, let's take that 30% and let's break that down. Let's say half of them are married. That leaves 15%. And then let's say of the ones that are single and available, half of them are too old and half of them are too young. So that takes that 15% and knocks it down to about 7 or 8%. And of that 7 or 8%, I'm going to go over the rest of the things that men might look at. So right off the top, if you understand that men are visual, that means of the female population, there's only about 7% that he's even going to be remotely attracted to. Are you getting the picture yet? I'm not done. Now I'm going to talk about the change that females have been sold a pack of lies. Not too many years ago, little girls grew up wanting to get married, have kids, raise a family and a husband, and live happily ever after. Women have been sold this pack of lies that you can be strong and independent and make your own money and you don't need no man and you can have, and here's the one, I'm in my wild phase. And that's usually from about 18 to 30. Okay? 18 to 30, they're in their wild phase. And this is where these stupid women get on these videos. And my body count's only 500, that's not bad. So their whole perspective right out of from marrying age to 30, their whole perspective has changed. They're not interested in looking for a male until they wear their bodies out and then they want to, now I'm ready to get married. Well, here's the problem with that. And I know women are going to hate this, but it's the body count. And it's not just about the bodies. I've covered this in other videos that women that have a high body count over time lose their femininity and they become argumentative and hard and crusty. And high value man is just not going to deal with that. First off, he doesn't have to, and secondly, who wants to? If I want strong and independent, I'll marry a dude. Now, why is the body count important if it's not about the numbers? Well, first off, it is about the numbers because that talks to your morals. And for a high value man, he wants a woman with good morals. If you've got a high body count, you obviously have very little morals and a very low opinion of yourself. But the number one reason why the body count is important, and men won't tell you this, I'm going to, because I've lived this. It's the ability to pair bond. And by pair bond, if you don't know what that means to attract, get, and keep happy a mate. Now, a lot of people say, my mom and dad stayed married until the day one of them died. And the reason they did that is because they got married very early. They didn't have high body counts, and they were pair bonded very soon and very quickly. And once you bond, that's very hard to break. But every time a female sleeps with a male, that goes down just a little bit, just a little bit. So after a while, she becomes unable to pair bond long term. Men know that. We see that on a daily basis. So when women say, well, what does it matter about the body count? It is about the numbers, but not really. A high value man is going to evaluate the probability of being able to be in a long-term relationship. And if she's had a high body count and she is slowly but surely losing the ability to pair bond with another male, she's not interested. Now, so we're down to 7%. And of that 7%, how many of them are going to stay single and go have fun and get a job and make money and then get ready to settle down when they're in their 30s? Okay, so let's say half. So now we're down to 3% of the female population in the United States is available for a high value male. 3%. Okay? Now, the rest of these I'm going to cover are basically preferences, but I'm going to tell you as a general rule what most men would find attractive and not attractive. And the first one is tattoos. Girl, want to have a tattoo? Hey, you do you, boo. But I got news for you. If a high value man has a female that has visible tattoos, she's probably out. Because in his world, he has to be able to show her off. She has to be able to be with his friends and family. And tattoos is not acceptable in the business world. Sorry, ladies. Speaking of ladies, let's talk about that. It wasn't too many years ago when men were raised to be men and women were raised to be ladies. I can't tell you how few number of young ladies I have seen in the last 20 years. They're loud, they're argumentative, they're opinionated, they're strong and independent. That's not ladylike. Years ago, girls were sent to boarding schools to learn to be ladies. There is a way to be and act ladylike, and that is important to a male, specifically a high value male. Now let's talk about this strong and independent crap. The problem with this whole thing, and women love to say, oh, I'm strong and independent, don't need no man. Well, all right, let's talk about strong and independent. If you're going to go out hunting and you're looking for alligators, you're going to go to the Everglades because that's where the alligators are. And you're going to learn about their habitat so you can hunt them. So if you're going to go after a male, you better figure out what he's about and what you can bring to his life. A guy does not want the same things that a female wants. The problem that I see is most females mistakenly think that men want the same things that women want in a relationship, and that is absolutely not true. Women want their men to be strong and independent. Men want their females to be feminine and ladylike. Completely different. And God intended it that way. So these women running around here saying strong and independent, what they may as well be saying is, don't choose me because I'm going to make your life miserable. Another problem that I see is when I was growing up, marriage was the goal. It wasn't about being happy. It wasn't about what can I get out of this. It's not about what can he do for me. The only decent piece of advice I think I ever got from my dad was this. When you get married, you count on receiving nothing and giving 110% every day. And if you go into it looking like that, anything you get's going to be gravy. He's right. Marriage takes a lot of work. It takes a commitment. The problem today, and I think this is being exacerbated by social media, is men are now waking up to the fact that marriage is a career move for a lot of women. You know, there's a reason why when women have the high value goal as six-figure income, there's a reason for that. Because they want to spend that money in the short term, and then they want to get that half of that money in the long term. It has sadly turned around to where the men are the moral gatekeepers. The men are the ones that are sentimental. It's the men that want to give in a relationship. Women, as a general rule, look at a relationship is this going to make me happy? And as soon as she's not happy, she gets the hell out of there. Well, here's the problem with vague terms. So let's say today I'm happy, and tomorrow I'm happy, and the next day I'm happy, and finally happy becomes normal. So what are you going to do? You raise the bar. Now he has to do this to make me happy. And a year later, well, now I've been happy for a year, but now he has to do this to make me happy. There's no winning in that game. And the reason she's doing that is because she can then justify divorce and 50% of all the marital assets. Is that the majority of women? I would say it's the majority of Gen Z women, yes. And I'm sad to say that I think it's probably becoming the majority of the female population in this country. Yes, I do believe that. Okay, so now we're down to 3%, and of that 3%, we've just hit some eliminating factors. So let's say 1 or 2 or 3 of those knock you out of his. So now we're down to 1.5 to 2% of the total female population in the United States is even remotely attractive to a high-value man. Your definition of a high-value man. Another one is also exacerbated by social media, and that is high expectations. Is it okay to have high expectations? Yes. But when 95% of the females all give you the same definition of what a high-value man is, that's too high. 95% of the females in this country are not going to get a six-pack body on a male that makes 6 figures and is 6 foot high. The chances of that are 2%. And of that 95% of the women that are chasing that guy, he's got a choice of 1 to 2% that he's truly interested in. He may play with the rest of them, but only 1 or 2% is even available to him. Are you the 1 or 2%? Your expectations are too high. All these videos, these women comment on other women. You go, queen, you're a 10, you deserve that, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something. If you think you're a 10, you're not. And even if you are, You don't need definitions of high-value men. They will find you. There is a reason men are not dating women, and I've just given you a whole litany of lists. I gave you the top ones. High body counts, low morals, weight problems, age problems, too high expectations, too selfish. It's all about me, me, me. What's he going to do for me? Cash and prizes at the end. I said this in the last video. I saw on a video, this guy went around the college campus and he walks up to these two girls, both of them about 6 foot tall, both of them around 350 pounds, wearing short shorts and halter tops. It was, no one wants to see that. Anyway, he walked up to them and he asked them the question, how much money does a man have to make to get a date with you? Mid-6 figures. Honey, let me save you some time. Okay, that's never going to happen. The fact that you stand there and say that, and she wasn't even, she was probably a 3 on the 10 scale. She was probably a 3. Mid-6 figures. She's in college. Okay? What college-age guy, all the way up to 30, is making 6 figures? Totally, totally unreasonable. They have no clue what they're talking about. They have no idea what the male is looking for. And even if she does, she has no intention of giving it to him. You want to know where all the good high-value men are? I'll tell you. They're married. Because the smart, low body count, medium attractive, high morals, with the ability to pair bond quickly and permanently, grab these good men up when they're young, and they go through the struggle with the man to make the money. That way it means something because they built it together. These women making these stupid videos, they want the man to go out there and struggle and build and build and build, and then she wants to come in just as he crosses the finish line to $1 million, and then she wants to go spend it and take half of it. It's absolutely unreasonable. The expectations are too high. The field is too small. I mean, as a female, I want you to think about this. Of all the females in this country, just on this little list that I gave you, 2% of the population, female population, is that high-value man interested in. 2%. That means the top 1% of males are going to be interested in the top 1 or 2% of females. This is not hard. This is not rocket science. And I don't know why they keep making these stupid videos encouraging these women to have such high expectations. You know, the new thing now is if he asks you on a first date for a walk or a coffee or a hike, ignore him, ghost him. I just don't understand it. I don't know what these women think that they have to offer. You know, instead of having your own definition of a high-value man, why don't you look at it like this? As a female, what can I bring to a high-value man that he doesn't currently have, and he won't feel like he's being threatened? Do I sign a prenup? Do I get in shape? Do I learn how to be a lady? Do I dress appropriately? That's another one. The way females dress today, The young ones leave very little to the imagination. The middle-aged ones haven't figured out their middle age yet, and their clothes are way too tight and way too revealing. No high-value man wants that. If you're looking for a high-value man, why are you clubbing? You're not going to find a high-value man in a club. The only guy that's going to buy you a drink in the bar is the one that wants to get you home in bed. A high-value man is going to ask you for a coffee date, because his time is way too valuable to be spent trying to pamper your ass for an evening just to get to know you. Because a high-value man will figure out in about 5 minutes if you're even worth the time. He's going to ask you a series of questions, and if you don't pass him, you're done. That's the whole purpose of a coffee date. Women don't want that because that eliminates one of their reasons for dating, and that's free dinners. Once men figured out, I think, in the last 10 years or so, that dating and marriage was not about relationship and love and giving. It was a career move. It was a business move for women. And as soon as men figured that out, they were like, oh, now wait a minute. So they're wanting just free dinners just for the heck of it. You know, and then after dinner, they're going to go out to a club and pick up some Chad or Tyrone and go home and build her body count. So now she's losing her ability to pair bond, and now after 30 years and 500 guys later, she thinks she's going to pick up a high-value man. Make that make sense. It is important for women to understand. The internet is not reality. The bell curve is the bell curve for a reason. 80% of the population, male and female, fall between a 3 and a 7 on the 10 scale. And I think we've proven here that the top 1% of men are going to be interested in the top 1 or 2% of females. The rest of them are toys. And I think the sooner these women figure that out, the better it'll be for everybody. Because right now, as I see it, not only are the men walking away, I don't think they're going to come back until the women figure out what the men want and decide to give it to them, instead of playing games. If you get a good man at the right time in his life, and you build something together, and you're in it for the right reasons, and you're in it for the long term, you'll have yourself a good man, and you'll have yourself a good life. But if you think you're going to have it all by having your wild 20s, and then married in 30s, and 1 or 2 kids, and then divorce at 40 and walk away with half of everything he's built, that on what planet and in what society and what brain does that make the least amount of sense? That's just stupid. And that's what these women are believing. I'm in my wild age, and now I want to settle down, and now I want, and now I want, and now I want. The reason it's falling apart is because you're asking the wrong question at the wrong time. You should be doing it when you're young, fit, and attractive. What can I bring to a man that he doesn't already have? You can be feminine, you can be ladylike, you can be kind, you can be gentle. Those are the things that a man wants. He doesn't give a shit about strong and independent. Doesn't give a shit about anything except a good relationship with a good woman. And I think I've covered that. That's all I want to talk about. I just wanted to make sure that, before I wrap up, I do want to say this. I have been watching, as I said, a lot of these videos, and 99% of them are by women. There are one or two out there, men, but they're still criticizing the women's videos. I think more men need to stand up and tell these women, you're delusional. What you're looking for is never going to happen. And I'll tell you what, because if it did happen to any of those women on those videos, if it ever did happen, we'd have a video out there saying, hey, I landed my high value man. I'm living in a mansion. I'm making, he's making 6 or 7 figures, and I drive a Maserati. You don't see that. There's a reason you don't see that. It doesn't happen. But yet, because of the internet and because of these stupid influence people on the internet, they are changing the dynamics of men and women's relationships for an entire generation. You women need to think about that and rethink your strategy.